That was the cost that they spent to remediate the property. And we will get those taxes back in 5.5 years. And will be totally paid for. But once the building is built, we'll still be getting all the property taxes from that particular construction of that building. So we'll still be getting a lot of money. We'll be getting all the taxes for that property, but the remedial cost, we will get that back within 5 years. Your Worship, I have nothing but respect for the two gentlemen who represent my company. No, I'm just saying, we've had discussions with them about how we could move on, not unlike what Councilor Thibault mentioned.
One more person on the list, just clarification, Councilor Murphy? I don't want the two of you changing
It's not going to be today.
Okay, Councilor Murphy? No, that's fine.
I was very much aware of that program. I was just stating there's special treatment areas in the city. That's all I was saying.
Okay. Councilor Sampson, you've spoken already on this.
I like some information
So
from
you've
CAL, please.
No, you've spoken on this issue. No.
Information.
Clarification?
Yeah.
What is it?
Screw Maureen.
Who
Please.
did that? What is it?
Screw you to the CAL. I understand it won't cost a penny, the city 1 penny. Is that true?
What won't cost?
And we're collecting $2,000 of taxes now, and in the first year we'll recover $98,000. Is that true or wrong?
Ms. Adams? Ms. Mills?
For you, Mr. Mayor, for this application that council's looking at tonight, we would, over 10 years, we collect about $2 million in taxes, a little over $2 million, and we pay out over 1.8. So we're going to get, over the 10 years, we'd get probably close to about $190,000 back. So you divide that by 10, that's $19,000 a year.
And what are we getting right now?
We're getting approximately, you're pretty close. about
$2,000
Yeah.
with that potential.
Thank you for that clarification, Councilor Sampson. Thank you, Mr. Adams. Now, Councilor Garden, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Councilor Thibault. It's information that I wanted. I wanted to hear what you have to say in order to do it the last meeting, so yeah, I think I waited a lot. I was disappointed when the talks broke off. The developers met with the mayor and we, our CFO, to find a solution to this, but the developers moved out of the discussions and that ended like that. There's no opening settle. 10-year exemption. That has not been, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Adams. The buildings are not, I don't want to put names over here, but the condos that were built on Montreal Road, King's Landing, Riverview Apartments in Riverdale, Knox Center, did they approach us for that type of something?
Ms. Adams?
For you, Mr. Mayor, for King's Landing, there early on was discussion, but there was no application submitted. For Riverdale Terrace, there was some funding provided. It was about $500,000, and it was based on work that had to be done to remediate the site. So it was a site that had some significant contamination and needed to be correct. And then the other one that you mentioned was Knox. Knox has received consideration similar to this application tonight. Again, that's that site from the committee's perspective. It's within the priority area. It was a site as well that has had some challenges with respect to, I think, impacting the ground to hold the structure. I think there's been some challenges with that. But that program is, for Knox, is similar to, I think, the request that's in front of council tonight.
So it's nowhere near $1.8 million.
Certainly not for King's Landing or for Riverdale Terrace, and for Knox, I don't believe it's that high, but I'd have to look up those numbers for you.
Most of them are in priority.
Correct.
Anyway, thank you very much. What bothers me is also the fact that we'll be setting precedents for the next builders that will come along. We have to issue $1.8 million to exemption looked at the Marco condos and the apartments that are there, and the offices that were built, and I understand there was no money given for those, or exemption given for those buildings. I wonder why, as a businessman myself, if I was a businessman, I'd certainly come to the table if I can get one money, I'll do it. However, in this case, it's out of the priority area. It doesn't meet what the policy is in place for the money. I just cannot support it. I've talked to a number of people about the 10-year tax exemption, basically, and all I got was anger from people saying, can you give me a break on my taxes too? I can't support it. I'm sorry. I really wanted to see this happen. And to me, it's nothing to do with the rest of the garage that's coming. Councilor Carr, thank you very much for your input. I appreciate you having to say about the program because you have it.
Right, can we get a number on the project on Sydney Street? Say it's not in there, I think it's 1.6 million. Does that be the ballpark? Or maybe the,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will just say that I'm proud that I put this motion forward. I'll respond to Councillor Grant's comments. It's a new motion to renew, and it's always good to try new things. I'll also respond to some of Councillor Grant's comments around this program and the feeling of discomfort around discretion. And yes, there is discretion in this program. And yes, I acknowledge that as we move forward, we're going to probably want to make changes. We didn't necessarily forecast that this is the kind of development that we were going to get, but here we are, and so we have to adjust. And so, on the issue of discretion, I have to say that we have granted to places that are outside of the priority area in the past. We have used our discretion in that fashion. And I believe that this application is properly before us. It was properly before us at the PAC meeting, and it is properly and validly before us tonight. It is not an application that's trying to come in through the side or come in from underneath. It's valid. And it's not as if we haven't made similar decisions in the past. So I'm proud to support a valid application to this committee and to this council. I like what Councillor Murphy had to say, and I thank him for seconding this motion to renew. This is about the future. What are we getting now? Councillor Sampson brought that answer out. We're getting what, $2,000? We're going to get more, and then after 10 years, we're going to get more in terms of tax revenue. And in those 10 years, by the way, if that building goes up, what other developers out there, what other ideas are going to come from that? That's what you do when you dream big. You see something and you think, hey, maybe we can do something like that. So that's what this project is about. It's a project about the future and about what it can do. And if we can have that building spur on development that brings in tax revenue even before those 10 years, then that's a good thing for the city. And it's not just about Le Village or the East End. Of course we do what we can for the East End. But we've already made investments in Canev Drive. This is consistent with the vision that we've expressed around development. So I appreciate the conversation that we've had around the table, and I appreciate the emotions that were expressed. I'm always a fan of a good emotional discussion. But my approach has been very, very logical around this. It's a valid application. It supports a vision that we've expressed here around this table. And it would be too bad to see that we don't support a project that focuses on accessibility, that brought us higher guarantees between this meeting and the last meeting and this meeting. We were brought with higher guarantees of higher accessibility. We have new information properly before us. And so I stand by my motion, Mr. Mayor, and I'm proud to have made it.
Request for a recorded vote.
Just for clarification purposes, I'm looking at the therefore to be resolved. It says that be renewed and debated tonight, is, for clarification, be renewed, that means that we're going to be debating the TAC decision? Is that what this is talking about, renewed?
No, it brings the motion that was made at the last meeting before us again. So that the above conditions be approved as follows: 1.8776 million.
That's what the planning advisory committee's approval, not the council's decision.
The motion that was put forth last time. Sorry, where's the details? That the above conditions, HOTC, of the board request be approved as follows: HOTC rehabilitation and redevelopment grant of 1.876 million. Project design grant 7,500. Municipal plan and development fees grant actual. So that was the motion that was made last.
But you have to go with the rest, therefore be it resolved. And that, I think it should have said renewed, debated, and approved. So that, but it doesn't say that.
Can I ask Councilor Grant, so what impact does that have right now on this?
Well, we said it's renewed, in other words, it brought forth, but there's no action unless it was renewed, it was brought forward, but it's, and debated, and we debated. Well, what is the decision? What is the action for the
The decision will be either to support the application, in my understanding, or reject the application as presented. It's a very important subject. I want to make sure that whether for or against, that we understand clearly, that is a substantive question before us this evening. But in fact, to approve the project or not to approve the project. Councilor Sampson?
Let's be specific.
Well,
We, on the point of order, they've all had one, so I'm gonna claim mine. I'm here,
I'm not claiming anything, I'm recognizing you.
yes, thank you. So what I'm trying to tell you is, it should state that we approved the 1.8 million for the development at 1154 Quinchell Road. Was that your intent in the motion?
I think I understood that without.
It doesn't say it. We had earlier, let's be specific. To protect.
If we're going to do that, then I might just reopen the whole debate, and that's fine with me. I've got lots of time. So I'm going to go back to the mover of the question, whether in fact she would like to complete her motion, more specifically beyond what, and then I'll, if anything changes, we may have to reopen the debate.
I believe that the motion is clear, that it's either to support the project or not to support the project.
That's my understanding.
That is my understanding. So the vote is either to support or not to support.
Okay?
Not what it says it.
Well, we all understand that was the intent, and if anyone disputes that, I'd like to prepare to reopen the debate, but I don't think that would be a wise use of our time at this time. So, now, Councilor Gardner has requested recorded vote, which means the chair must vote, and that's my responsibility I take very seriously. Let me begin by, because this has been an issue of great interest to all of us. Has been great interest to the Sept committee, which works diligently as an advisory body to PAC and subsequently to council. I thank them for their work. I'm very pleased with the very vigorous, respectful debate we had this evening on a subject matter very, very important to the stakeholders and to the community. I have concluded that this application, with these conditions, for reasons of financial sustainability, I don't believe, and I certainly I am not supporting this application, that should not in any way be misinterpreted. Like all of you have said, and whether you're for or against, we are in favor of development, in this case, this particular development, before we get into the conditions. And I also want to commend Mr. Haynes, Mr. Jans, Mr. Burnett, for conducting themselves in a very, very proper fashion, always being, first of all, very accessible, honest, forthright. In any meeting we had, and we've had a few, which were attended by myself, the CAO, and Ms. Adams, because of the significance and the importance. I wish it could be different. We find ourselves in this time capsule at this time, where we've had a program that has done certain things for certain reasons, case by case, but there has to be a transition. Unfortunately, we were not able to come to a transitory agreement, and so while for me the 1.9 is not a financially sustainable position for me to take on behalf of the residents of Cornwall, I respect the decision of the stakeholders that without that financial component, this project at this time, under these conditions, won't go forward. So I will be voting negatively. So all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is defeated.